All right, welcome everybody to another Hobby CNC with Dave show. I I realized when I went back and watched some of the stuff from last week, the whole time I had laser distractions listed on this little thing underneath my name. So, oops, can't keep my live stream straight. So, but I guess it didn't matter because nobody said anything. But anyway, welcome. Let me get my crew in here. Mr. Ballard is in the house. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing good.
Paul's here with us tonight, sporting a brand spanking new pewter. So sounding good and looking good. Sean's in the house as well. How you doing, Sean?
Doing wonderful, Dave.
And we left the door unlocked, and this guy here sneaks in here. So how you doing, Cody? Glad to see
guys.
you. Fresh out of school, you got your learnings.
Yeah,
All
all learned up.
that? Good deal. We'll expect an update here. Let you tell us everything you learned while you were up in let's see what the great state of Michigan, I guess, is where you were,
Yes, sir.
or at least the cold state of Michigan.
It was cold. It
Yeah.
was cold. I left 70-degree weather and I landed in like 17-degree weather.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
was
that's
kind of a
gotta
little
suck,
shock.
doesn't it? Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. It warmed up a little bit.
Okay. I apologize to I see there's a whole bunch more comments here. I didn't even get a chance to get to all of them, but holy cow, I'm still scrolling.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them in there tonight.
Here he says, Purdue University class of 83. Is anybody else's bracket busted? I think pretty much everybody's bracket's busted because there's been some crazy upsets. And I noticed Arkansas just beat Kansas just a little while ago. So, yeah, probably everybody's bracket is probably in pretty bad shape right about now. So, anyway,
Maryland beat West Virginia, so that's all I cared about.
yeah.
Bragging rights to my wife.
And of course, I guess what Harry's referring to is that school. What is it, FDU or something like? I didn't even know what it was. I saw the initials, and I'm like, I don't even know who that is. But they beat Purdue. Of course, I wasn't watching that game. I was watching whatever was on CBS, but I kept looking at the score up there, and I'm thinking, wow, that's going to mess a lot of folks up because I'm sure probably everybody, unless they were an alumnus from FDU, probably thought that Purdue was going to win that one. But
Probably
well,
everybody
it's
from-
that's what March Madness is all about. Gets everything all mixed up. All right, I am still scrolling through comments here. All right, well, I don't really have much to talk about. I got the message from Cody. Oh, let's talk about his the drawing, because Cody sponsors this giveaway thing every single week, and we thank him so much for that.
Yeah, I love it.
You rock. You rock.
Just so
It's fun.
dadgum awesome. But what he said, we were going to. Oh, and I haven't got it set up yet. Let me do that too while I. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something. Always forget something. But anyway, he said, let me find it here, Cody. Where did I put? Oh, I know. It's right here at the top. We're going to be doing the downtown Jenny tonight. So that means our hashtag is, say it with me now.
Down.
Downtown.
Okay, you guys were supposed to kill a little time there so I could get this going. All right, there we go. So we got hashtag downtown on the tool over there. So let me make sure it's working. Yep, it's going.
There we go.
Hashtag downtown is the hashtag for tonight. and we'll be doing that a little bit later. But anyway, I don't really have much of anything. I do want to talk about a couple of things. The deadline was last night at midnight, I think, to get an entry in for the All American Clothing Company that I've been talking about for a month now. We had, I think there was 79 people entered that to get the, to get a chance to win the $250 gift card that they're going to be giving away. So I just wanted to mention, if you are one of those 79 people, make sure you check your spam box or junk mail box or whatever it is, because they will be doing the drawing Monday the 20th, and then they will be emailing you to let you know. So make sure that you, after Monday sometime, you check your spam box and stuff like that, because that might be where it ends up. And of course, if they don't hear from you, they'll give it to somebody else. So you don't want to miss out on that. But anyway, I do want to thank everybody that signed up for that. I don't know if they will want to do anything further with my channel or not, but I hope so. It's a good thing. And like I said, I've been wearing their stuff for a long time, way before most people even heard of them, I think. So I was really kind of thrilled that they asked me to work with them on that giveaway. And if you're not one of the lucky winner, still doesn't mean you can't go there and order you some clothes that are made in America. By gosh, that's right. So anyway, let's see, what else was I going to talk about? I had one other thing I want to talk about, and there's links in the description for this. But last week I did the unboxing for that SainSmart 4040 Pro machine, and I have since did another little video, and I'm going to be doing some more videos, playing with it, basically, with the all the different routers and stuff that you can use with it. But if anybody is wanting to check those out and get some money off, there is a link down in the video description here that'll get you 10% off. And I'll keep putting that in. I don't think there's any time limit on that. I think it just runs from now on. So I'll keep putting that in there if anybody wants to get that. But anyway, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool little machine. I look forward to playing around with that.
Yeah, your videos, it runs like a champ. Once you get it off your dinosaur.
What's that?
Once you get it off your dinosaur computer, it runs beautiful.
Yeah, well, the whole problem that I had last Saturday, because I was trying to use that laptop, and it's my fault because the laptop had been sitting in here on the shelf and hadn't been turned on in about 2 months. Well, as you know, if you don't turn a computer on in that time, when you go turn it on, first thing it tries to do is get all the Windows updates and all the virus protection updates and everything that it's behind on. And so even though I had turned it on right before the show and thought I had it all warmed up and ready to go, it was still, good old Windows. You know how they are. They sometimes take forever to do updates if you don't get them all the time. So, but anyway, so that was the issue with that. And then of course, when I tried to move it over to the other computer, I just overloaded that cheap little USB hub. So I have since bought a powered one, and we'll be trying that out. I guess I'll be trying it out Wednesday when I do the next Laser Distractions live stream. So I'm looking forward to that working a lot better. So, but yeah, the little machine, as soon as I went out there the next morning, Sunday morning, and I went out there and I turned the laptop on, and I thought, well, I'm going to leave it till after lunch and let it get all the updates and all that stuff done. And then I went out there, and of course, then that little machine run like a top. And I was still using G-Sender, which is put out by the CNC people. And when I say CNC, I don't mean the letters CNC. It's that other spelling those guys use for the long mill. That's their kind of version of a G-Sender, and it's my favorite. So that's the one I was using. But yeah, it all works really well. The tool, what do you call it? Touch probe, all works good and everything. So looking forward to doing a few little projects with that thing, especially when I put the Makita or the DeWalt on here. I think it's going to be a pretty good little machine. So I think that's pretty much all I had to talk about. If anybody has any questions or anything, I guess. Oh, you've already got a couple of starred.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here what we got. Ray says, hey, Cody, I missed the first order. When will you have the 30-degree VBits in?
Yeah, so the VBits, they were supposed to be done this week while I was in Michigan. But when I reached out to them, they said that they were a little bit behind. Of course, that's why I'm buying my own machine, right? And so I'm hoping to have them next week, the 30s. So if I can get the 30s next week, then it's full tilt party. I'll open it up to everybody. I had 400 of them made on the first batch, but I don't know exactly how many I'll be receiving next week. So hopefully it's more than like 50. But we'll see. So I'll have more information Monday when I have a chance to talk to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been chomping at the bit for like 6 months on those VBits. So I'm ready. I'm ready to share.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Harry says, I'm doing the all-American kitchen, all union labor, all-American appliances in Missouri sourced lumber and cabinets. All right. America. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Amen.
Let's see. I had something else I just thought of. I don't remember what it was now. Let's see. Matt saying something about new laptop. UCS Wi-Fi disabled. Problem solved. Yeah. Well, I had forgot that I usually turn it off when I'm running because that's what I was using for my laser. But then once I got that other new computer that I use for my laser, I had turned the Wi-Fi back on that thing so I could get updates. And of course, that's what it did. I was trying to run that thing. All right, we got another one here. Dennis says, seems like so many CNCers are letting their CNC sit idle while they play with laser machines. What is all the hype with lasers?
They're awesome.
Well,
Yes.
Another toy.
it's well, let me just say, yesterday was St. Patty's Day. You can't do stuff like this on a
That's awesome.
Yeah, that looks
CNC.
fantastic.
So that's my biggest thing for wanting to play with the lasers, because I love making stuff like that. And it all just because I made the first one and I thought, ooh, this is cool. I can actually look like I know what I'm doing when I make these things. But that laser makes it so easy. So
You're quite the artist. You paint all that by hand?
yes, I did.
Good.
But like I said, it makes me look like I know what I'm doing, because when people see it, they go, oh, the lines, they're so clean and everything. But what it is it's all the little pieces that I paint while they're still little pieces. And then you put it together. See, there's a backer board on this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I glue it. But all these little pieces right here, and this isn't very thin. All the black that you see that goes around the fingers and all over everything. That's a real thin, very, very flimsy. I call it a frame. And so, you have to get that lined up with the backer board and then make sure you know where all the pieces go. Because once you put super glue on them, you better not put them in there the wrong way.
So Dave, you know what I like to do on projects like that? So when I cut out my backer board, I'll actually take the other shapes that I'm going to be lasering out and I'll score the backer board so I know exactly where they're going to be sitting. So you just line it up to whatever pattern you laser onto your backer board, and then you don't have to think about it. You just line it right up and you're good to go.
Yeah, I can see where that might still be a bit of a problem because here I go. I'm keep picking this thing up. But when you look at some of these little pieces, it's very difficult to look at some of these little tiny pieces and go, is it that much different than another one that's up here somewhere? So you basically have to take it and try to fit it. Like what I do is I take the backer board and I cut the backer first. And then when I cut all the pieces, I pick that frame up gently, set it on the backer board, and I put all the little pieces in where they go. Because while they're laying there on the bed, I can still pretty much figure it out. And then what I do when I go to pull them out, I'm looking at my phone, or maybe if I'm out in the shop, I'm looking at a computer monitor where I've got the picture that I'm going off of. And then I take a piece of tape and I stick it on the piece and use the tape to pull it out so that I know to sort them. Okay, the white's over here, the brown's over here, the green's over here. And then that's how I do it. So
yeah, there's been several times where like I made a huge like round sign, and on my backer board I actually just kind of lasered the letters that I cut out onto the backer board, so that way I could position them perfectly when I glued them on there. So that way I didn't have to worry about the alignment just right. It was like a puzzle. You just put it right on top of the
right.
part.
That's a good idea. I might think about trying that because when you cut just the backer board, like on this one, it probably didn't take but 2 minutes to cut that whole, that. Now the other one that took probably, I don't know, 10 minutes or maybe 15 to cut all the pieces because it had a lot more. There's a ton of pieces on this. But yeah, it wouldn't take that much longer to, like you said, put the engrave where the pieces go.
And I just do an outline. I don't engrave it, so that way it's really fast and it just.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Right. Just put a, score it or something.
Yeah, score. That's right.
That's a good thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sean knows. I'm sure Sean's done that several times.
Oh yeah. It works great.
Okay.
When you're doing lettering on a sign like a personal, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then it says, can that leprechaun be cut on a cheap $500 5 to 10 watt laser? Yeah, I think you could. It depending on how thick you want to cut it, you might have to take more than one pass, or if you cut it with thinner materials, some of those diode lasers they got now are cutting this stuff. They come in with air assist and all that. So I think you probably could. You would probably, it's going to take a lot longer than say like an 80 watt that I have. Cause I can go through this. This is all at, well, if I hold it up here now, there's 2 layers. So it's almost a 1/2 inch thick, but it's 2 1/4 inch pieces. And I'm just going through that in one pass. So it doesn't take that long.
If you did it with like 1/8 inch, it would be a lot easier on diode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably 2 or 3 passes or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what's really cool too? I did a job just a couple weeks ago for this company. It's a nail salon actually, and they had me cut out these gigantic pieces of styrofoam, and I just cut out the letters of the styrofoam, and they put it on the outside of their building and stuccoed over it. So the actual letters were sticking out 3 inches from the wall on their stucco.
Oh,
Looked
cool.
really cool. I'll have to get some finished pictures and show it to you. But they were no joke. I mean, they were like, gosh, like 25 inches tall, and then however wide the letter was with the font.
Mm-hmm.
But it was neat cutting that styrofoam.
I think
Took,
it's so cool
30
how
seconds.
you can take the styrofoam and literally put it up on the wall stucco and it looks something totally different.
Yeah. Well, so they put it on this, they put it up with the chicken wire and the stucco and everything.
Mhm.
And then they obviously, stucco over it. So it looks like it's, I guess, what is that, embossed when it's sticking out?
Yeah.
So it looks like
Mhm.
embossed lettering with concrete.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty sweet. And then they did that one time too on the inside of their building with all their drywall. So it's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
did,
There's no
I did a
way.
big-
So the question was asked, what's the hype between like CNC and laser? Like I couldn't do that on my
Oh.
CNC machine because I have to have those really, really tight corners. And and the kerf of my laser is what, like 10 thou maybe? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
So you get a lot of that detail.
Yeah, that's getting back to, I think it was Dennis that asked the question about the CNCers, what's the hype about the laser stuff? There's just, well, for me personally, I mean, you have to remember I've been doing CNC stuff way before it was cool. I was doing it way back when it was not real woodworking.
Dave was doing it before his hair was white.
Remember that.
So, so it's, yeah, I didn't catch what you said, but I can guess. So the CNC stuff, I won't say it's gotten old because I still like CNC stuff, obviously, or I wouldn't have been playing around with that Saints more. But it's like, a laser is a shiny new thing. And there's just so many things that you can do that you either couldn't do with a CNC router, or it would be much, much more difficult with a CNC router.
But yeah. And to be fair though, I mean, having a laser is just such a nice complement to your CNC machine.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
It really is. In a perfect world, I mean, you want one of each.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or like 4 of each. But
And it's just like I have people all the time when, say, well, hey Dave, what's the thickest you can cut on that laser? And I always say, well, I can probably cut a half, and I have cut a half, but I have a router. So if I'm going to be doing thicker stuff, I'm going to be using the router versus the laser. So, it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges. You can't,
yeah.
it's not like the laser is going to take the place of a router and vice versa. You don't really need.
If that's the case, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah. Okay, we got some more questions coming in here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me read through here, see which one we need to take. But let's hit JR. He says, Cody, highlights from your week of training setup and an update on the Kickstarter. I know I looked the other day and I think that thing was over about 45 grand or something like that.
Gosh, you guys are so incredible. It's not even funny.
Oh, and by the way, in case I failed to mention, and I probably did, the Kickstarter link is still down below in the video description. So make sure if you haven't hit that up and get one of those awesome deals. That link is right down there in the description.
Yeah. So to answer Jared's question, man, it's like, where do I begin on the highlights? I feel like the whole trip was a highlight, honestly. It was an adventure. I mean, there were like a lot of really cool stuff that happened, and then there was a lot of really, like, I don't know, some people would call them unfortunate events that had happened. But for me, like I loved every minute of it. Starting off, when I got to the airport, dude, it was like so incredibly busy. It was insane. At like 4:30 in the morning, there was a line that was probably 150 yards long. Like it was insane. And I don't know if it was, somebody mentioned spring break. I don't know when spring break is, but it might've been a spring break thing. But it's like I got through the TSA with no incidents, thank God. But once I got to the gate, like the land bridge thing, whatever they call it, that goes up to the airplane, like it broke down. It's like I was watching it. The plane came up and it was like creeping up to it, and then it stopped like 3 feet away. And it wouldn't go any farther. And so they ended up delaying the flight and moving us to a totally different gate with a bridge that worked. So that's kind of how it started off. But because I don't travel very much, like I don't mind the delay. I like being in the airport and just like hanging out and going and getting a burger or whatever in the airport. So for me, like I loved every minute of it. So the traveling was kind of crazy. Gosh, some of the big highlights. I don't know how. Like, should I just tell the whole story now, or should we do that later?
Yeah,
or I don't know.
Go right ahead.
Go for it.
So getting there, it was awesome. I got there first thing in the morning the next day, which was Monday, and I just kind of was getting to know everybody. And so as I was like meeting people, I didn't really know their titles, right? It was just like they came up and they're like, hey. And so I started working with the process engineers, and right out the gate, we started working on the machine. And of course, the whole time I'm just like mesmerized, like so excited, because the machine that I was being trained on was the actual machine that I bought. So the very first thing I did is I went and I put a Jenny sticker up on it, which was kind of cool. And then I did my best too to try and get as much like content and videos and pictures as I was going through the training, just because I wanted to share it with everybody. So I tried doing a video, like an update video every single day, which was actually a lot of fun. But from the time I got there, like day one, I got there at like 9 o'clock in the morning is when it started. And then by the time I like got to the hotel, I brought my whole office with me. So I had like my laptop, my printer, because I was also processing orders while I was in training in Michigan. So every single night between like the training and, getting to the hotel, I don't think I got to bed till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, like every single night. So it was a lot of work. Yeah, it does. True story. It's science. But no, the training was really good. It's a lot, man. I still have a lot to learn. I feel like I'm just, barely scratching the surface. The software alone is just insane. There are so many different, you have your primary, your secondary, your tertiary, like lands and your cutting face and the helix. And so learning all the, right terminology when you're programming it, that's kind of a lot to take in. And then there are so many different settings and so many different ways you could like ruin your machine. It's not even funny. So one of the nice things is the software that I bought a simulator with it. So when you program it, you can actually run a simulator and it has your machine modeled up. And so it shows like where the steady rest is, where the white stick is, where the robotic arm is. And as you hit the simulation button, it'll go and run the part on the computer, and you can see if there's going to be a crash. So there's like crash detection in the software, and it's worth its weight in gold, because the last thing I want to do is take a wheel and put it right into my spindle and crash my machine.
Yeah. Like, so in the simulation, does it go womp womp? You just broke a $10,000 part.
No, so it's really cool. So the software, when you bring in your tool and whatever you do, you tell it kind of the starting out parameters and what you're trying to do, whether it's a compression bit, upcut, downcut, like it doesn't matter. You start kind of with the basics. And then you have to build a wheel pack that will do the different reliefs and the different fluting. So there's like a fluting wheel, there's a finishing wheel. And it's really cool because in the software, every one of the different paths that the grinder takes and puts on the tool, it's a different color. So it's all like color coordinated. And so on the simulator, when you're running it on the bottom, it kind of has like a progress bar. And then each process, it's color coded that matches the program. So I know exactly like which process I'm doing, which wheel that is being used. And if there's a crash, let's say I run into the steady rest. And so the steady rest is basically an arm that like pops up in front of the tool and it just rests on there and it gives it more support while it's doing all the work on the outside. Because you want to manage as much tool deflection as possible so that way you don't have any run out. And so the steady rest, it's out in front of your spindle, and you have to tell your program where it's at. But if it crashes into it, there's a big red bar that shows up above that process, and then it shows it in the simulation too. You'll see it red every time it crashes.
Wow.
So learning the software was a lot of fun. Again, I feel like I'm just now scratching the surface, and I feel like I didn't take good enough notes, of course. But once I get the machine in and I start playing with it, hopefully it'll come back. But I don't know, I'm super excited. But it was crazy though. So talking to like everyone that was there, everyone wanted to come and meet me. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Well, apparently not a lot of people do this kind of thing. And they all wanted to kind of hear the story. So I told everybody about you guys. I told them about, the community and how the whole thing started. I told them about the Kickstarter. And there's this one guy that came out. His name was Russell. And, he was a really nice older gentleman, but he's from Australia. So he had a really thick accent. So everything he said was just cool, no matter what, right? And so I'm like talking to him, and he came out 3 or 4 times. I was like, man, this guy like must really like me. Well, then he started asking about the Kickstarter, and I just kind of told him what I did and what it was intended for. He's like, oh, well, I'll look into it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Well, turns out that's the president of Anka. And so the president of Anka came out, and he just loved the entire story. He's like, I really want to contribute to the Kickstarter campaign. And so as we were,
give me a discount on the machine.
Well, he gave me a free software upgrade, which is like a $2,800 software upgrade.
Wow.
And I'm just like, holy cow, I was beside myself. Here's little old me, Cody from Arizona out of a 2-car garage. And I'm meeting the president of Anka, which is like this worldwide, company. And I don't want to say I was starstruck, but come on, it doesn't happen very often for me, So it was just really cool, and just seeing the support, and everyone was just like, man, we want to see you kill it. And so they just, I don't know, I feel like they just did such a good job on the training, and just kind of, it really felt like a partnership. I didn't feel like I was just some guy that bought their machine. So I can't say enough about the Anka team. They were phenomenal. But some of the other quirks that happen. So I brought my computer, this computer here that I'm using. It's a nice, gaming computer that I bought. So to do all my programming stuff, right? I mean, it has the right graphics card and it meets all the requirements to run CAD. But the problem is this computer is Windows 11. And so that software upgrade that I needed that Anka ended up giving me, it wouldn't work on my computer. So I was like, oh crap. All right. I was like, guys, I'm all in. I don't care what it takes. Just let me know what I need to get, and then I'll just go buy another computer. And so they found another MSI gaming computer that had Windows 10 that wasn't Windows 11, but it was Windows 10 Home Edition. And apparently you need Windows 10 Pro. So I went to Walmart that night, and I bought the computer, came back the next day. They go to set it up and it wouldn't work. I was like, oh man. So the problem is they're pushing Windows 11 on everything now. So there's not a lot of choices for like computers. And so they found a computer that was in a totally different town that was like 45 minutes away. So the next day we went through all the training. I left the training, drove 45 minutes to this other town, and the only two choices I had for a computer that met all the specs and had Windows 10 Pro was a Dell Precision laptop that was either $3,000 or $2,500. Those were the only two choices I had. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm all in. It doesn't matter. So I went and I bought the computer, and then that night I got home to the hotel, and then, I logged in and signed in and did all the stuff you have to do with the new computer. So that way they can put on the software. So PETA, I don't know what PETA is. Pain in the butt.
Pain in the butt, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I hate Windows 11. I like Windows 10 a lot. But it was just like a 2-day, it was an adventure because I was traveling all over Michigan in a rental car that had crappy windshield wipers, and it snowed and rained the whole time, and there's road closures. And so it was fun, but again, I embraced it and just took everything in. So now I have a really nice computer that's dedicated to the machine that has all the requirements to run the CAD software that I got, and everything else. So yeah, gosh, I don't even, the automation part was cool. I don't know if you guys saw any of those. Well, Dave, I gave you video.
I do. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, sure. If you're okay. It's short, so like a minute.
I've got it right here, and I think you can still talk through it if you want to.
Okay, cool.
Cody.
So, yeah, this was just some of the training, obviously the startup sequence, all the homing procedures. iGrind is the name of the software for programming, the tool simulation. The tool room, that's a separate software that you use to build all your arbors and your wheel packs. And then the automation part, that was probably my favorite. So right there in the video, I'm making a 1/4-inch ball end mill. So the big B. And those are all the people that helped out. Aaliyah, she was the main lady that I was working with. She was great. Did a really good job. And this is my favorite part, is watching that arm go over there and pick up a tool. The cool thing about the automation too is that robotic arm, it'll go down. Yeah, so that's everybody there. Those are the guys I was working with. And the guy to the right of me, that's Russell. That's the president of Anka. Cool. Over here in the US. But the cool thing about that robotic arm is it'll come down, it'll pick up a tool, and then it'll go and it'll place it in the spindle. And so like the collet will open, it'll insert it, and then it'll close. And then you program how far that bit is sticking out. And depending on where it grabs it, it knows the length of it. So if it's sticking out too far, it'll close on the bit and it'll come out. It'll re-grab it, and then it'll push it farther into the collet until it meets that right tool stick out, it's so cool. And then it'll run the tool. Well, while it's running the tool, the robotic arm will go and pick up another bit, and it'll just sit and it'll wait a blank. And as soon as it's done running, it'll go over to the spindle, and it has gripper fingers on each side of the robotic arm. And one picks up the finished tool, and then it moves over, and then it puts a brand new tool in the spindle. And then once it goes and touches off the tool and starts machining again, the arm will go and put it in like a done pile. And so like the 1/4-inch pallet that I got, it'll hold 194 tools. And it'll go and pick and place every single tool. And then the really cool part is a part of the automation system, which I had a lot of fun setting up, was after it goes and it runs the tool, it goes over to a laser scanner, and it'll measure the OD of your cutter. And with a compression bit, there's two different ODs, right? You have the OD of the upcut geometry and then the OD of the downcut geometry. And so it'll go in there, it'll measure the upcut overall dimension, and then it'll go farther into the laser beam, and it'll measure the downcut part of it. And if that OD goes outside of the SPC requirements that I program into the controller, it will automatically compensate each of those wheels to maintain the tolerances throughout the entire production process. So every single tool is 100% measured as a part of the manufacturing process to make sure that the repeatability and reproducibility is accurate. And it's accurate to within like 0.002 microns or something like that. So it's like super, super precise. I mean, we're talking about like 4 millionths of an inch.
Yeah.
0.00004. That's how accurate that laser is. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta love technology.
Dude, it's no joke. I'm so excited, and honestly, I'm a little intimidated still by the machine, even after playing with it for a week. Like I'm like, hit the button, and the neat thing too is on the controller, so it has a little pendant with it. You can put it in like a dry run mode, and it'll run without a tool in the spindle, and it's got a little like knob where I can speed up or slow down like the feed rate. And so as you're running it out, you can like get in there, look at everything, and then slowly approach to where it's going to be like in the spindle. And when you're running it out in that mode, you can open the door and look in there, make sure there's enough clearance. Because the C axis, sometimes it'll go 180 degrees and you can't see the tool because it's hidden behind the spindle, because it does a full, I don't remember the exact range of motion. But it's, so the whole time when I'm running it out, man, I was like so super slow and like super cautious, and but it was good, man. I loved every minute. Honestly, I could have spent another 2 weeks there probably. So I think what I'm going to do is the machine's going to ship on the 24th, which is a Friday, next Friday, or it's going to ship the next Monday. And then once it gets here, I'll get it all set up. And then everything that we pre-programmed, I'll start run it out and start producing. And then I'm just going to keep a list of questions. And once I get the basics down really good, I'm probably going to schedule another week of training and fly back out to Michigan. And then get more into the advanced stuff, which that's what I really want to learn, but I have to have a good foundation first.
Yeah.
So
I had a thought.
Sure.
I have a question about this machine. So can it do other things other than bits, or is it specifically designed for bits? Like, could you do like, I don't know, like lathe knives or something like that? So
the machine I bought, you can do broaches, you can do reamers, you can do drill bits, you can do end mills. While I was there, they were actually programming, because you can get like different like vices, I guess you'd call it, that can go into the spindle. And so how like the Amana surfacing bit, it's like a fly cutter, and it has those inserts that you put in there. Well, they make other tooling that has a tool body, and imagine like a piece of carbide the size of a razor blade, the square razor blade. Mm-hmm. So they were working on some projects in there where they held the piece of metal and it was cutting the profile edge of like a knife blade that would be assembled onto a shank, and it was making like profile cuts for like molding. So like when you go to Home Depot and it has all those different profile shapes on the end of your molding.
Yeah.
So they were making custom inserts for making that type of work.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, so the stuff I'm doing, I mean, I'm primarily making everything for us, right? For our machines, a lot of woodworking. But the other industries, like when you get into aerospace and defense and start making end mills and cutters for aluminum and steel, like there's so much this machine can do. Really, probably the biggest limitation is me, and not knowing how to program it or what to do, or but it's pretty incredible the things that those machines can do. Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome.
No, that's a great question though. I didn't even think about that. So who knows? I mean, maybe one day this could turn into, maybe we're making cool custom bits that can put on like different patterns for people who are machining picture frames or like whatever.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting.
I mean, I think it would take a lot. You'd have to invest in different type of equipment that you can like add to it, and it would be something totally new. But I don't know if there's a need. If the community was like, man, we really want these, then I would totally look into it and do whatever I needed to do to take care of everyone. You know what I mean? So I've already come this far. We'll go the next step.
I think it's cool that you can still you can do all those bits plus if you want to drill bits or custom bits.
Yeah,
it just opens the door for you.
And man, some of the newer technologies that they have for different drill bits. So I can make my own. I still have some. It's right there.
It's still there.
It's right there. Well, so actually, so my command center, now that I have a shop, this is all going to go away, and this is going to turn into my wife's pantry. So I'm going to be moving out of my garage and into the shop and bringing all this stuff with me.
Sweet.
So if she really wants a door trim, I'll do it for her.
But not until all your stuff's out.
Yeah, I got to wait till things out. But it's going to be, I don't know. I'm super stoked because, I got my Onefinity, and then I have my Shapeoko, and I'm getting a Onefinity Elite also. And so I'm going to have like all my machines like set up there at the shop. So as I'm trying new tool geometry right off the grinder, man, I'm going to throw it right into my machine and then test it like right there, and get the results I need. And then once I think it's good enough, I'll be sending bits out to all the other beta testers and, get some real life feedback, some real world feedback from people.
Awesome.
But it's going to be so great, man. Just being able to open the door and take an end mill out of my machine and then put it in my Onefinity and just rock it. Like, man, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Troy here's got a question. He says, when does the magic start happening at your shop? The new machine. Okay, so the machine, you said it's going to ship next Friday or Monday, I think you said. And then how long does it take to make the trip?
It'll take about a week to get here.
Okay.
So once it's here, there's a lot that goes into it. So there's 2 transformers that need to be wired up by an electrician. There's a oil filtration system and a chiller that also needs to be plumbed and hooked up and wired up. And then once everything's there, the Anka technicians have to come out, and then they're the ones who actually will do the final wiring of the machine to make sure it's not wired incorrectly. And then they'll be the ones that turn it on. And then once they turn it on and everything looks good, they'll level the machine, they'll calibrate the machine. And then after that, it's off to the races. He's going to say, see ya. But the nice thing is the technician lives in Peoria. So he's here within an hour of where I live.
Well, that's cool.
If there's a problem, if I run into something, I can call up the Anka techs and they can come out here if needed.
Nice.
Okay, so from the time that the truck backs up and the riggers set it on the concrete pad, what time frame are we looking at to get off?
So,
you mentioned a lot of stuff still needing to get hooked up.
Yeah, it's probably a solid 3 days of just getting everything installed and turned on, and then probably another day just to level it and then to do the calibration. I think they have like a special ball bar that they put in the machine, and what they'll do is they'll take the Z, all the way up, and then move it all the way back in Y and all the way back in X, and then they'll measure it and find its location in space, and then they'll drop it all the way down in Z, come all the way forward in Y, and then to the other side of the machine in X, and then measure the ball. And so then they can measure like a geometric shape of where the machine's at, and then from there they can go and make comps in the computer if needed. So that way everything is spatially correct and accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I haven't seen that process, and I don't fully understand how they do that just yet. But when they do, I'm definitely going to be there with my camera and I'll be taking videos and sharing it with you guys. So
Sweet.
Are you putting putting all the videos that you did this week on your YouTube channel?
I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, oh, maybe we need to take care of that, Mr. Cody.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So actually, I think I started a YouTube channel a long time ago just so that I had it.
Yeah.
But man, I haven't put I think I have one video on there.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of people that will join that, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I mean, once everything settles down and I have some time to maybe look into it.
Just throw them on there, buddy. That's
Yeah.
all you do.
Well, so the thing is,
teasers.
all the
you've already
videos
made the
and
video.
reels, all the videos and reels that I make, I post them on Instagram and Facebook, and I add all the music from Instagram and Facebook because it carries all the rights with it, so I can use them. So even if I were to put them on my YouTube, I'm not sure how I do that and still have the music on there. There's got to be a way. I just need to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree, and I stand rebuked, Mr. Ryan. So.
Yeah, even I will say, Cody, I don't think I ever told you, but when we did we had you on, I guess, what was it, 25th or something of last month, and you had sent me that video to play, that 2-minute video, and so we played that live during the show, and literally within an hour, I had a copyright claim from YouTube.
What? Oh, no.
Because I don't know where that music came from. I don't know whether it was, I know Hamilton was helping you do it, so I don't know whether it was something he had used or you had used or whatever. And, but they didn't like it. Like I said, within an hour, they had me flagged. So I waited until the next morning, and I got in there and I clipped that 2 minutes out. Because it already had several views. So most people with a live, most people see it within the first few hours anyway.
I need to get on the phone with Hamilton, make sure I didn't get him in trouble or get you in trouble.
Oops.
Because I had Hamilton gave me a link for the rights to clear wherever you were playing it. And I thought because I'd already cleared where I was playing on the website that it would have been fine, but I didn't even think about your computer. Either way, I just hope I didn't get anyone in trouble.
No,
Dave's
really,
used to it.
It's not
gosh.
really a big
See,
deal.
I don't. This is why I don't.
It says, sorry you had to take the bullet. It wasn't no big thing. I mean, it wasn't a copyright strike. It was a copyright claim. In other words, they just demonetized that video. And I didn't even try to fix it that night. I thought, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I'll worry about it in the morning. So the next morning, I got up and then I just went in and I clipped that 2 minutes out. And then YouTube was happy. It took them probably a couple of hours later, and then they monetized it back. But they didn't like that music because I hadn't paid for it. It wasn't mine, and it wasn't part of the YouTube library. But just one suggestion I would make, if you're wanting to put your videos up on your YouTube channel, what you could do is bring them and I know you know how to do the movie editing stuff, whether it's with your phone or whatever. You could just real quickly mute the video, and then if you want to put some music, just pick something from the YouTube library. That's all I ever use. And
Dave,
I don't even like to use music, but I learned a long time ago, anytime I've ever tried to use some other music other than the YouTube library, it always causes a problem.
You know what I ought to do is I ought to reach out to Leighton from Carveco and hire him to be my voice actor. And then he can do the voiceover and just talk through the videos with that British accent.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Oh, what is that? GPI to voice? Do that. Is it GPI? That AI? It's a computer AI. You can have it write your whole script out. And then you take your text to voice, and then you can do whatever voice you like within reason. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I'll have to play. I played
People
with
like-
that. Yeah, I saw an ad on Facebook, and so one day I just went and I tried it, and I made like a little. I don't know. It was almost like a promotional video where this AI character came up, and there's this dude, and he was like talking, and it was actually really cool. But then all of a sudden, the dude from The Office stood up in the background with a trophy, and he's all like smiling. I was like, it was really weird, but it was awesome.
It's fun.
Too funny.
Okay, we
Too
got
funny.
some questions flagged over here or comments. One, let me go through this real quick. Hamilton says, I almost sent you an email the other day about helping me figure out an Xbox controller with the new Masso controller for the Onefinity, but I've been told it can't be done. I don't know whether it can or not. I have some experience using MPGs, manual pulse generators, the little hand crank things, or I call them pendants. But I've seen a lot of people use Xbox controllers, and I always just shake my head because to me, it just looks like, why do you spend all this money on a nice machine and then you want to get a little controller for a game? It just seems tacky to me, but that's just me. I'm old school, I guess.
Well, they're doing that in the military now because all the younger guys grew up playing Xbox and PlayStation. They have Xbox and PlayStation controllers to fly drones.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just an old fart in old school. I'm used to all the machines in a shop, and when I say shop, I'm talking a big, manufacturing place. Having a full blown pendant that they're using to move stuff. So I probably wouldn't have been able to help you out much, Hamilton, other than to say I don't know what I'm doing with that.
Yes. Sounds like a challenge.
And Dave, you do have one of those controllers for a drone. It's still in the box with the drone.
Oh, well, actually, the thing you were supposed to use your phone as the screen. It has some kind of little thing. Yeah. Let's see. Rob from Sidewinder Drum says Cody wants things settled down. We need to do an Arizona CNC or meetup.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've done that for the Onefinity group where a bunch of the Onefinity users all met up. But I say we do like a CNC just meetup in general. I don't know. We'll go to an Applebee's or something and just hang out and visit, or maybe come to the shop and visit. I don't know. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
The new shop.
Grace, ask if you're ready to order a second machine. Might take a month or two for that.
Oh my gosh, a month or two. We'll see. I honestly, I'm just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to get the machine here. Let me figure out how to get it hooked up and figure out how to get it calibrated, and then figure out how to load up the programs and go.
Troy wants to know if you're going to save and frame the first set that you make with your new machine.
I don't know. You know what's funny? So I have the very original Jenny bit back over by my machine. For like every tool that I've made, I saved the very first one just because, I don't know, it was like a trophy for me because I was like, man, I figured this out and like did it. And so all the tools that we made on the machine when I was in Michigan, I did the same thing. I took them home with me. I made sure to check it in the bag so that way they didn't make me throw it out when I went through security. Because I don't think they'll let me take an end mill on the plane, have it in my pocket.
Yeah, they'd probably think you're going to try to bust into the cockpit or something.
No, but who knows? Maybe I'll jump on my machine and make a cool little special case for them.
John Thompson's got some good advice here. He says, don't forget to take time to breathe. There's a lot going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to get my wife and kids in the shop to help me.
Hey, it's free labor.
No, you know what it is? We homeschool, right? So it's I'm teaching them
We're schooling.
Yeah, we're teaching them mathematics and science, and just like when we're pulling weeds in the front yard, I'm teaching them agriculture. So
That's a good way of putting it.
it's funny.
True.
And then when you do the door trim for your wife, it'll be carpentry.
Yes. Yep.
All right, my good friend Jerry from 3DHP says, Dave, waiting on your next Saint Smart video. How do you like it so far? I hear in Gerbil you can crank up the travel speed. Yeah, you can, Jerry, but I'm going to tell you, don't get too excited thinking that thing's going to really be flying around, because it won't. You'll get some decent speed up, but it's the type of lead screws they put in they're like a 2mm pitch with a 4mm lead. So you're just not going to get fast rapids out of there. That's why so many of the smaller CNC people will use the V-groove wheels with the belts, because you can get some really impressive rapids, but then they won't cut worth a flip, because you got you got to take little baby cuts with them and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll be playing around with that, and there'll be some other videos coming up. And usually when I do a video where I'm showing something run, because they're kind of boring to watch anyway, even if you have them, 4 times the speed or something like that in the video, I usually put my settings so that everybody knows what kind of bit it is, what the depth of cut is, what the feed rate is, all that stuff. I don't try to deceive people and say, well, it's, speed it up, make it look like it's really going fast. I tell them what the settings are with the graphic. But yeah, I'll be doing some of those. I'll try to get another video out this week, but I don't know if I'll. You know me, I don't get in a hurry about stuff. So, let's see. Al says, I remember the good old days of typing commands into a CPM console. Controller schmoller. Okay. Jerry says, put bollards around the machine so it can't be stolen or ran into.
Yeah, you put a bunch of my family members around the machine, it ain't going nowhere.
Well, I'm guessing that since you're dealing in, I guess if you had enough bits, there'd be some weight, but it's not like you're going to be needing a forklift, I would think, right? To haul the stuff off once you get a run done.
No, it's a tray.
Yeah. So, well, that's what I mean. So that's the thing I would worry about. Of course, if Cody's going to be doing it all himself, then that's one thing, but I would worry about, because I've seen forklift drivers. They don't, sometimes they're not always as careful as they should be.
I've seen those, some of the reels on Facebook with the forklift people doing like forklift Olympics. Man, some of that stuff is pretty cool. Like they had a little toy forklift on the fork of the forklift, and they were making that, like they were moving it around and picking stuff up. That was pretty neat.
Yeah. Coolest thing I've ever done with a forklift is picking up a dime. We had some forklift training, and there was a bunch of us in there, and somebody challenged us to pick up a dime with a forklift. Y'all know how to do that?
Nope.
I think I do. Isn't it where you pop it? You snag the end of it and it pops up?
You have to put the very tip of the forklift on the edge of the dime and then kind of press down and back up, and it flips up onto the fork. So you're not really scooping it up like you think. That's why when you say pick up a dime, people think you're trying to scoop it, but no, it's not that. You have to flip it up on there. Let's see. I think we covered. Well, we got another question here. Troy says, what will be the turnaround after milling the bits and having them coated, or are they not coated?
So when I'm machining them, it's raw carbide. They won't have the coating. You put the coating on after the fact. So typically, man, coders and outside like processing people they're like the bane of my existence. It's so hard managing other people to do this type of work. So it depends. Sometimes they'll be on the ball and it'll take them 3 days to coat, do a lot of coating, but then it might be a week and a half. It might be 2 weeks. It really just kind of depends. There's 2 different companies I use. One's here locally that can do the zero-end coating. They're always up and down. It's like they can hit it. Sometimes they hit it out of the park and do awesome, and other times they just suck at life and just cannot follow through at all. And then there's another company out in California. So the downside to that is it'll take 2 days in shipping to get there and then 2 days in shipping to get back. But typically when they do a run, they'll do it overnight. So it all depends. I just anticipate a week and a half for coating, and that's kind of my threshold. And if I get it sooner, great. That's awesome. If I get it a little bit later, well, now I'm not too terribly upset because it's only like a day or 2 later than what I anticipate. So in reality, kind of what my game plan is I'll load up the machine at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, let it run all night. In the morning, I'll have a tray of bits ready to go. And then once I hit like the minimum lot quantity, and depending on what kind of my inventory quantities are at, I'll just take a big batch over at a time. And then I'd say a week and a half after, I'll have them ready to go. And then I still got to laser them and put them in tubes and all that stuff. That might take a day. But the goal is I want to be able to have everything made and then have inventory. So that way you guys aren't waiting on the manufacturing process. I already have it done on a shelf. So if you go to my website and you buy it, I'll be able to ship it out that next morning. So hopefully the lead times won't be an issue.
Well, and I'm guessing here, I would think that your lead times from your coder are probably pretty consistent. It's the other process that's the holdup, right?
No, it's a crapshoot. It's both.
Oh, is it both of them? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, I think I'm on an 8-week lead time for the other companies that are making my bits right now. And so it just kills me, man. It absolutely kills me. But now that I have control over the manufacturing process and I'm not competing against Honeywell and GE and Northrop Grumman and all these really big companies, I'm making my product. So if I need Jenny bits tonight, I'll run Jenny bits. If I need 1/4 inch downtowns, I'll run 1/4 inch downtowns. Oh, so the other thing too is with that machine, if I'm running like 1/4 inch tooling, I can tell it, okay, I want you to make 50 Jenny bits and then switch gears mid-flight during the manufacturing process and then make 50 of the downshear bits. So as long as it's 1/4 inch tooling, I can program it to change programs mid-flight after it hits a certain number. So that part of it's going to be super helpful also.
Nice.
Yeah. And the other drawback is I have to make sure my wheel packs can work for both tool. So if I'm making Jenny bits and the downshear, 1/4 inch downtown Jennies, I believe it's the same wheels that I'll be using. So as long as the same wheel packs are in the machine, I can run both programs back to back in one run. But if I'm running, say, the tapered ball nose and I need a specific bit, I might have to change out the wheel pack. And if that's the case, then it would have to be the next day, next time I run it. But I'll run all the downshear tapered ball noses at the same time, if that's the case.
Troy's ready to move in.
Oh, man, that's awesome. It's funny.
All right. All right. Well, that's pretty exciting stuff. I can't wait. I know you're probably chomping at the bit to get the thing in and get to playing with it. And of course, it's a good thing you put that Jenny sticker on it because you'll know if they try to sneak in a different machine.
So it was strategic, and I told them that. I told them, I was like, guys, well, the bad thing is they asked me for stickers too. So Maybe they can pull a fast one on me and just leave the Jenny sticker on the. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. If you haven't had a chance, go back and watch the update videos. I had a lot of fun making it, and I think it did a really good job of kind of showing the process as I was going through. It showed the inspection process. It showed the programming, some of the programming, showed the motion of the machine. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So if you haven't, and really my whole goal, the reason why I was making those videos is because I just wanted to have video evidence of the progress that I'm making for everyone who's backed the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So because
really
you wouldn't want us to think you're just going on vacation up there in balmy Michigan.
Right? Go hang out in 17-degree weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you guys might be concerned if I was making videos in Hawaii.
Yeah. If you said, the training's in Hawaii and everything is of the beach and volcanoes and stuff like that, we might be going, wait a minute here. Kickstarter my honey. Let's hit a few more questions here. Marcelo says, will the machine be bolted down to the concrete floor?
No, it will not. The machine weighs over 10,000 pounds. It's super heavy. It's super rigid. It actually has special leveling feet that you have to put on there. And they're big feet with like a really hard rubber pad underneath it. And it's just to help manage any vibrations.
Yeah. Now, when the
isolated pad or anything either, then
say that again, Paul.
It doesn't need an isolated pad or anything.
No, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, they build those frames pretty robust, and then the special feet that I have to put on there, it's made to go and sit on a floor. You don't bolt it down.
Yeah. So when those technicians come and they've got it all set up and stuff, will they like kind of pat it and go, that ain't going nowhere?
No, it's it was funny.
I think that's required in it to.
Yeah.
So when I was going through my training and we were programming the laser to measure the tool, I told them, I was like, what if I just bang on the side right here, while it's running? And they're like, well, no one's ever asked that. And so I'm over there beating on the machine while the laser's taking its measurement. I'm sure everyone's looking at me like a crazy person because I'm sitting there like banging on the cabinet. But I wanted to make sure it was going to have accurate results,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was kind of funny.
I do that when I go to the the home shows with the solar company.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, how sturdy are these things? And I just start punching it, and it scares the crap out of them. They're like, whoa, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So I did that. I did the same thing.
John says, are you going to be able to make VBits? I certainly hope so, because that's probably my favorite.
So the answer is yes. It's just a matter of time. I have to figure out how to program it properly. But until I get that all done, I'm still going to be outsourcing those types of bits until I can get it programmed and proved out. But my goal is I want to be able to make all my tools. But starting out, I started with the heavy hitters first. I'm starting with the Jenny, the mini Jenny, the skinny Jenny, just so that all those are done and programmed so I can start making them. And then the VBits, that's something I want to do next.
Okay, Clyde has a question. He says, how often do the wheels get dressed?
And
that's a great question.
Brooks behind that is asking, how many wheels will it stage?
So each arbor can hold up to 4 different wheels, and the machine holds 2 wheel packs at a time. But what you run into clearance issues. So as long as it doesn't crash into anything else or lop off the end of my tool while I'm using a 1v1 wheel, I think I'll be okay.
Sweet.
But you can put up to 4 different wheels on each wheel pack. And then what was the other question? Oh, the dressing. I don't know. I've never done it before. So they told me, so when I went through the dressing process, they had a really big fancy machine that dresses the wheel for you. And for those of you that don't know what that means, basically what you do is you start off with a brand new grinding wheel, and it's like a diamond impregnated stone, right? And they put it on a machine, and if it's a 45-degree angle, well, it might not be perfectly 45 degrees, or it might not be perfectly true to your arbor. So you build your wheel pack, and then you put it on your machine, and then you use another wheel that's at a 45-degree angle, and then you just go back and forth, and you dress the wheel until it's true. And you can put different profiles on there, or if you needed like a really sharp corner, you can dress your wheel to where you have you can shape it to whatever you need ultimately.
Sweet.
They were telling me that the way we're programming it with like roughing and finishing, all of my finishing tools, they said they'll last for a really, really long time. I mean, it could last up to a year. So as long as I don't crash any machines or I'm not super aggressive, it should last for a really long time. I did buy the software where I can dress the tools in my machine. And we did go over some of that as a part of the training. So the nice thing is I can do it in the machine that I bought. But honestly, I might go to another machine shop down the road because they have nice, big, fancy machines, got a comparator and a camera that's looking down over the wheels when you're dressing them. And you can actually measure the angles while it's on the machine to make sure it's perfect. Because the better you do in a setup, the better you build your wheel packs and the better that you just control everything, the better your tools will be. It's all about your setup. So for the time being, I'll probably work with another machine shop to help me dial everything in perfect. And then as I start going and learning more, I'll start bringing more of that in-house. That's a great question, though. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Ray's got a good question here. He says, when you designed the VBits, didn't you have to pay a programming fee? If you did, you own the program already, don't you?
2 different machines, 2 different programs. They won't work with each other.
Okay.
It would be like taking a program for the Onefinity and then trying to run it on your Shapeoko. And because I bought so many of the other features, the Renishaw probes, the laser, like all of those commands that'll be in the program, it won't be in the program for the programs that have already been made for the VBits. So I'm going to have to start over with all of them to work with my machine with the newest technology.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sean's testing out the super sticker thing, I guess. Appreciate that, Sean.
What's really cool about the machine too, while we're just kind of talking about it? So they use linear motors. Have you guys ever been to I think it's Six Flags maybe? So there's a Superman ride where you sit on it and then it just takes off and shoots you way up in the air and then you come back down. So they're using linear motors that's actually powered off of magnets. And so you have a whole rail that's just cram packed with a bunch of these electromagnets. And so the whole machine, as it's moving, it's not touching any surfaces. It's literally riding on the magnetic field.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Hmm.
It's super accurate.
I want to see up close shots when you get it.
Well, so they tell you if you're working on the machine and you take off the way covers and you get down in there, they tell you to be really careful because if you have a wrench, it'll stick to your machine, and you can damage stuff if you're not careful. Same thing if you have a pacemaker, they tell you not to be around the machine because it might kill you.
Oh, that's all.
All the electromagnetics. But I told them, I was like, I have a smartwatch that I use. If I'm wearing my watch, is it going to ruin my watch? And they're like, no, you'll be fine. They just told me, they're like, don't do anything that creates a lot of interference when you're running the machine. Or if you are, keep it away. So when you're running your machines and sometimes you have static electricity from your shop vac, So I have to avoid as much stuff like that as possible in the machine. So I can't be TIG welding at the same time that my machine's running because it might mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just do it in a different room and just ground it really well. But yeah, it's really, really cool technology.
Yep. All righty. I think we're out of questions, and I imagine we probably should do the
Yeah,
little
sorry,
giveaway thing.
talking your ear off.
There's
No, that's fine. I like it.
Wonderful.
I always love having somebody on the show that likes to talk, so I don't have to.
Funny thing is, I don't even like to talk. I'm just passionate about machining. It's exciting.
There you
You're
go.
excited about it. You can see it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here. We got 85 people in the drawing as of now. We'll give it another minute if anybody, you slackers showing up late, just get in on the drawing. We'll give you a
Now,
second.
Cody, I have to ask this question. When you saw the machine for the first time, did you go up to it and just give it a big bear hug?
No, I didn't do that, but it was funny because when I walked in, I took a video, right? And so I'm like walking in with my camera. I look like a total tourist person, right? Like it was kind of funny.
I think people get it these days. Everything's YouTubey and all that stuff. You know, you get kind of used to seeing people out with just their cameras on and stuff.
Well, after we do the drawing, I'll tell you another story about that specifically because something pretty crazy happened that I want to share with you. But let's do the drawing first because I don't want to hold anyone up.
I'll tell you what, John's just reminded me, don't forget the makers thing.
Yeah.
So I know what he's wanting to hear. He's wanting to hear my old buddy Matt talk about
Makers Rock. That is the largest collaboration on YouTube. And if you have a YouTube channel and make stuff with your hands, this is the collab for you. We make album art, like the vinyl record album art. We use any material, using any technique, create a video of us making it, publish it on the same day, and every participant will cross-promote all of the other participants. Collabs are the best way to grow your channel because other people's audiences will see your stuff and vice versa. There's another twist. It's also a giveaway. And it's different because we give away the stuff that we create. You give away the artwork to someone in your audience. Giveaways are huge for promoting and growing your channel. Come along for the ride. There's a secret Facebook group where all the participants share behind the scenes. Makersrock.com is where you start. Join us. It'll be awesome.
All righty. And with that, we are going to fire this thing off here. So good luck to everybody. And here we go.
Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? I can tell you who it's not going to be.
It's not going to be.
Oh,
it is.
There's
Alan.
Alan.
I don't know if I've seen that name before. I'm sure he's probably a first timer.
Traffler?
So
Hopefully I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm just going to call him Alan.
Send an email to that guy right there.
Yeah, you want to.
And the other 112 people go here.
Yeah, everybody else go there and buy one, and Alan can go to there and tell Cody he won one. So
yeah, if you need one right away, go here. If you don't need one right away, go to the Kickstarter.
Which, by the way, there's only 16 days left. After 16 days, it's done.
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah, I looked at it a while ago. It was well over 45.
Yeah, right now it's
45,000,
at
I think.
45 and $1 short of 500.
Okay. Yeah.
So 45,499.
Yeah.
Which again, man, I can't thank you guys enough. Every time I see it, I'm just blown away because like the support has been incredible. You guys are awesome.
Hey, we believe in you, buddy. You got it.
Yep, that's for sure. All righty. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I just scrolled down and I saw my little thing, so I'm going to I'm gonna plug it again. What the heck? But if you are interested in Citizens Band Radio, I know people are going, "What? That's dead, isn't it?" No, it's not dead. I've got a new YouTube channel called Boomer Dave 821, and I'll be doing some product reviews and different stuff about that. So if you like that kind of stuff, you might want to go over there and subscribe so you won't miss out on any of the things. I don't have any content over there yet because I've had a problem with getting ready to put a new antenna up, and I got one in, and then it was missing some parts. And I thought, well, no big deal. I'll just contact them, get them to send me the missing part. The box had got tore open. You could tell they'd retaped it. And I thought, well, they'll do it. And then so I contacted Amazon, which is where I bought it. And they said, well, you got to contact the manufacturer. I contacted the manufacturer, and they said, no, you bought it on Amazon. You got to contact the Amazon seller. So then I contacted the Amazon seller, and they said, no, just send it back and we'll send you another one. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll send it back, but I'll end up buying something else because this is just crazy. I was just missing some hardware stuff that fell out of the box when it got ripped open. But anyway, once I get that all done, I've got a replacement one here. So once I get that all done, there'll be some videos coming in on that. So if you like that kind of thing,
Yeah.
So make sure on the flip side you get Dave.
There you go. There you go. It's I do have, I got some stuff sitting back here already. Of course, none of it's hooked up because I haven't run the antenna yet. But I do have some stuff in my my truck and in my car, and I went. And it's funny we're having Cody on here tonight because I went had to go pick up some stuff, run a few errands. So I was in the Explorer, and if you listen to, and I'll tell you that I don't know what you guys know about CV radio or what you think about it, but it's really making a big comeback because the way and I don't fully understand it because I'm not one of them climatologist people, but the way it is, there's like certain cycles, and we're in one of those cycles right now. Awesome. Where it's these solar flares and stuff like that, but it makes the propagation where you have this skip. And so even with a little, well, if you're on lower sideband or upper sideband, it's like 12 watts on the CV radio. You can hear and talk to all over the place. Now, I didn't talk to this because I was busy driving in the car, but I had it on, and I was listening to some guy, and I kept waiting to see where he would say where he's at, and he was a little way southeast of Phoenix, Arizona. And here I am just riding around here in Georgia in my car with that little dinky antenna and being able to pick that up. So that's kind of cool to me. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. We'll get ready to get out here. Cody, thank you so much for coming on and giving us an update on all the cool things you got going on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun.
Well, I tell you this every time. You're welcome anytime. I know you're a busy fella and about to get a lot busier. So it's probably good we had you on now because we may not be able to get you come on, be too busy the rest of the time. But anyway, you're welcome anytime, and glad things are going good for you. Glad you had a good time up there at the training class. And I know you're probably happy to be back to warm Phoenix, or not Phoenix, but Arizona. So
it was still a little chilly in my garage, hence the sweater, but not 17 degrees. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll get out of here. Paul, you've been looking good and sounding good all night. New
Haven't froze up a bit.
That was a good buy, I think. And Sean, good to see you again. We'll hang out here in a little bit after this. And Ryan, as always, we didn't get a shop update from you, but I guess anything new
Got paint up on the wall,
Okay.
and I'm preparing because it's now 250 days away from the start of the 2023 Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge.
Wow. I should probably get busy making a ticker for that.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We've had a good crowd like we always do. And I appreciate you tuning in. I know some of you probably had to break away from March Madness, but I appreciate you hanging around with us. And we will see y'all next week.
See ya.
Everybody have a good one.
Peace
Good night,
out,
everybody.
sauerkraut.